Good afternoon and welcome to Tree Talk episode 176 with myself, Jack Neville, and Matt Callan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star. Another busy week of action to look forward to and look back on with hurling, football, ladies football, camogie, colleges, and a lot of outstanding issues to get through. So stay tuned for all that and more.
The impression of the game you get out of it, what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawty Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
I suppose we hear it every week, Matt, that there's no sympathy in this game for anyone, and there's no sympathy in anyone paying for diesel at the moment or petrol. It's kind of a bit astronomical.
Jack, it's just unbelievable. But listening to Liveline yesterday, and you just wonder to what degree or what element of opportunism is there in this pricing of diesel and petrol, especially in anticipation of the government's duty cut, because there were a number of people rang into Mr. Duffy, outlining what the price was the day before the cut and what was yesterday, and there was a considerable difference. Surely to God at this stage, we must be able to devise a system that can regulate these things and control these things. If there's opportunism in it at the minute, and what people are going through, we don't know what's down the line for us, because listening to people like the bakers last night, and that the price of bread is going to go up, and the price of feedstuffs is going to be extremely scarce. There's a lot coming down the line because of one madman, So let's hope. I'm hopeful that it may be shorter rather than longer, but that's the glass half full element that I usually look at. So let's hope that common sense will prevail. Now, I know the foreign ministers of the respective countries are meeting this Thursday morning, so that seems to have moved on from delegations to high-powered. So there's only one more step it can go, but the chances of Mr. Putin meeting anybody, I wouldn't hold my breath in that one.
No, we'll just have to wait and see how that one plays out. I suppose we're not looking for money. Money going to the right place. The Club Limerick draw for 2022 is back at the end of this month. It'll be drawn live on Limerick's Live 95 FM on the 26th of March, and it's a great, I suppose, initiative to get money into the clubs. Half the money you pay into the draw goes back to your respective club. Top prize every month is 10 grand. I don't know if you've ever won it, Matt. I haven't won it yet, but there's always the hope. There's 8 other cash prizes and a star prize each month. This month, I think it's a stay for a family at the Centre Parks up the country. But it's a way of, I suppose, giving back to the hurlers and footballers and inter-county level, and also to your club. I suppose, have you anything else to say on the Club Limerick draw, Matt, that just is so worthwhile every year?
Yeah, Jack, I haven't won it either, but I have plans to do so, Jack, hopefully.
And what would you do if you won it?
I'm optimistic about that. Yeah, Jack, look, if you're looking for a model of a draw where it's a win-win for everybody, this is it, Jack. This is it. Yeah. And it is so affordable, and the prizes are so generous. Like there's the first prize every month is 10,000 euros. Now the fifth prize every month is an exclusive prize, and you mentioned it there about the voucher for 500 or whatever it is for that hotel or up the country. And like you have 28 further prizes on a sliding scale down to €100. Like, and anybody that wins €100, Jack, might sound like pittance, but it means you have your investment back at least. It's an excellent draw that is doing excellent work, and it's very, very easy to look at it and say, right, you know, that benefits our county teams, which it does, and that is fantastic. But Jack, it also benefits our clubs. And speaking to club members, you know, that have bought into it, it is their lifeblood and it's their savior, because, like, you know, clubs are confronted there the beginning of every year with huge bills for insurance and registration. I would say nearly even immoral bills, you know, at a time when there's very, very little happening and very, very little income. But the Club Limerick draw, and Jack, it's an easy sell. It's an easy sell because there are a number of options as to how people can pay it.
Yeah,
So,
you can go direct debit as well. I think that's easy for the club. But
I honestly think, Jack, that it's a no-brainer about joining it, because, you know, for the average person out there, it's an opportunity to play their part in helping for the preparation of the county teams, and at the same time helping in the running of their local club. It's a win-win-win, Jack.
Yeah, it's definitely a win-win-win for anyone that's involved.
The week of the month that I'll win the 10,000, Jack, we'll do the podcast without a hat.
Okay. I was saying we could do it maybe in a hotel or something. We could go to the manor and do it live. For anyone watching, that's just to enter there, www.clublimerick.ie/draw. It's as easy as that. You'll have it set up in a couple of minutes. And if you do direct debit, it's done for the year. You know, I think it works at $8.33 a month. It's at nothing. Yeah, you definitely wouldn't miss it. And I suppose
you wouldn't get 2 points for it, Jack.
No, you wouldn't get. I wouldn't get any bit of diesel for it either. As well, I know I keep harping back to that.
No, you'd be lucky to get 4 litres now.
Yeah, but I suppose the last announcement is the 10K for Milford Hospice is on this Sunday. It wasn't long coming around, Matt, was it? I suppose we were promoting it a few weeks back. This Sunday in around UL at 12 midday. You can sign up online, or I think you can sign up on the day. Just a bit of atmosphere. It's for a very good cause, as we said before. And I know it's very appreciated when anyone signs up for the Milford Hospice run. So the last 2 years it was run virtually, or it was run at home. So it's great to have all these things coming back now.
Fantastic, Jack. Fantastic after 2 years absence. And like there are no words that you or I could utter that would do justice to the wonderful work that Milford Care Centre are doing for people. It has touched so many families, and like there is universal agreement about the quality of the care in the place is absolutely second to none, and they deserve every support that's possible. And I understand that even though you cannot turn up on the day in UL on Sunday, that there are plenty of facilities for contributing to this particular fundraising project. So I would, just as I would exhort people to join the Limerick draw, I would exhort them also to get that few quid extra and put it towards Milford Hospice. Absolutely tremendous work in our community. And I suppose people don't fully realise the value of a facility like Milford Hospice until they sadly have occasion to use it.
Yeah, that's so true there. As you said, if you can't show up on the day, or if you can't make it on the day, or you haven't signed up yet, milfordcarecentre.ie is the place to go. If you can't show up on the day for any reason, you can still donate, as you said. So yeah, get out and support on Sunday if you can. I don't think the Hurlers or footballers are in action. We'll get to all the games around this weekend.
Actually, Jack, John Kiley and a number of his hurlers are head, neck and heels involved in it.
Yeah, if you go onto their Instagram page, you'll see an awful lot of the hurlers campaigning for it. So it promises to be a great day if you can get out and get to UL around that time. You have the Camogie sides both in action on Saturday. The footballers are also in action on Saturday, so you have a clear run on Sunday to get out to UL. Getting into those games, Matt, I think we'll start with the footballers. They entertain Westmeath this Saturday evening in the Two Skelly grounds at 7 o'clock. A huge game, whatever way you look at it. Big game for Westmeath as well. If they lose, they're pretty much out of the reckoning for promotion. If Limerick win, like they have 1 foot in Division 2 after being in Division 4 just 2 years ago. So many permutations, Matt. I suppose probably the biggest game of Billy Lee's tenure so far.
Possibly the biggest league game anyway, Jack.
Yeah.
No question about it. And you're spot on with what you said there, that it probably is of greater importance to Westmeath in light of the fact that they were surprisingly beaten the last time out in the back game by Longford, which in terms of the entire league and the entire standings, Jack, has thrown the cat among the pigeons, because suddenly the 6 points that Limerick had do not look near as secure now that Longford have climbed up to 3 points, because Longford still have Wicklow to come at home, which is the penultimate game now. I know they travel to Antrim on this weekend, but it's building up to being a fantastic league at this stage, Jack, because like you've Limerick there on top, you have what, 3 teams on 5 points? Antrim, Fermanagh, Louth, Westmeath 4. They're gone if they're beaten, Jack. Laois. Who would have thought that Laois would be in the lower reaches of the table after 4 games with just 3 points? And then you have Longford and Wicklow. And I suppose it's reasonable to assume that the odds are really, really stacked against Wicklow surviving at this stage. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Very, very condensed there at the top. You have Fermanagh, who were beaten in the first round pretty comprehensively by Antrim, but they were without the Derry Gonley players on that occasion. But they have bounced back big time. And then after putting 2 wins, first of all they drew, and then they put back-to-back wins, the most recent over Laois. Like, we have Antrim. And like the only fly in Antrim's ointment is the fact that they were beaten by Limerick. And you have Louth now, who are in very, very good form. They went to Limerick and beat Limerick, and then they beat Westmeath in Ardee. So they're rightly back in the mix now. It's a huge game for Billy Lee. Now, and I don't want to be a Jove's comforter or anything like that, Jack, but I can never remember us beating Westmeath in league or championship. Now, I may be subject to correction on that, but I cannot find it. And certainly, we've never been. It's the sixth time we've met in the third millennium, and Westmeath have won the previous 5. But Jack, those type of runs and those type of sequences and those type of records are there, and stats are there to be changed and to be beaten. And like, if there's an opportunity to do it, I think this is now our Saturday is the time to do it, because if you look at the Limerick team this year, like, I know it's only you can say it's only the McGrath Cup. But, they went to Kerry, got seriously turned over by Kerry, and regrouped pretty quickly enough, and were distinctly unlucky not to have beaten Tipperary in the second round. That to me shows the type of character that's in this squad. Now, fast forward to the league. Good wins over Longford and Antrim. You had Louth coming to the Gaelic grounds, who at that stage were struggling. There to be taken, and Louth turn over Limerick. Then you had the daunting trip to Auckram facing you, and Limerick responded. I'm very happy with the capacity of this Limerick squad to respond when the chips are down. And we mentioned it in this podcast already this year, Jack. Their backs were to the wall in 2020 when they went to Sligo, where anything other than a win, and they dug out a win and were promoted. Like they were in the relegation playoff for Division 2. It was that tight last year when they went to Ockram. Dug out a big result. Dug out a big result against Wicklow the last time out, in difficult circumstances, on the home straight with 13 players and a subsequent red card. So, like, you'd been trying to think that the gods are conspiring against Limerick footballers. But Billy Lee is conspiring better. So, it's a huge game for Limerick. Huge game. But like Jack, the prize is huge. The prize is huge because, you move on to 8 points. You effectively put Westmeath out of the running as far as Limerick are concerned, because were they both to finish on 8 points subsequently, Limerick would have the head-to-head. Not that that's a likely scenario, but it's a possible scenario and a possible permutation. Yeah, it's a huge game, and I'm pretty confident that maybe Limerick's hour with Westmeath has come.
Yeah, and it's the first of, I suppose, a triple header of games, 3 weeks back to back, and these games are tough in Division 3. There's no quarter given. To start with a win with Fermanagh and Laois to come would be a huge caveat for Billy Leaney's side, just to kind of get a bit of momentum going. There's obviously huge momentum after Wicklow, but the week break kind of takes away from that a small bit. I know they'll probably have trained hard in the meantime, and there's players like Keane Sheehan and them that have been struggling with injury, so hopefully they're back. But with 3 games on the horizon, you really want to start with a win, and I suppose if you're going to go for promotion, you need to be winning this game.
Absolutely, you need to be winning, and Billy said it at the very start. With 4 games at home out of 7, that could be 4. That home form would define Limerick's season. And ironically, with the 3 wins out of 4 at the moment, 2 of them have been on the road in Belfast and in Ockram. Yeah. But you'll take wins wherever you get them. But I think this is a glorious opportunity for Limerick. Now, as I said, the only fly in the ointment, as far as I'd be concerned, was that Longford win over Westmeath. Because, lose the game against Westmeath, it puts that little bit of extra pressure on, because lose the game against Westmeath, you're sort of looking over your shoulder, wondering what's happening behind you, having to travel to Laois in the next round, and then facing in-form Fermanagh in the last round. As you rightly pointed out, there are 3 difficult games. Look, Jack, there are 3 knockout games. There are 3 championship-like games. And, it would be the ideal start, and it would kick off an ideal run where Limerick to beat Westmeath, and they would be smack on, in pole position to get promoted to Division 2.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of twists and turns in this. Obviously, like I showed the table there a minute ago, like Fermanagh are playing loud. They're both on 5. One of those teams has to drop points this weekend. Limerick are playing Westmeath. They can kind of put them out of contention. But we could have a scenario that if Westmeath beat Limerick, both teams will be on 6 points. If Fermanagh and Louth draw, they'll be up on 6 points. Antrim are on 5 at the moment. I mean, you're talking about a lot of draws there. But even after 4 rounds, this could go any sort of a way. Like, you could imagine if Westmeath and Laois win, who are both on 3 points at the moment, they've gone to 5 to win one of Limerick. Laois have to play Limerick. That, like, as you said there, like, you could be drawn back into, I suppose, the bottom half of the table, or you could really separate yourself from the pack this weekend. With 3 games left.
That's exactly why, Jack, it's such an absolutely crucial game.
Yeah, and look, it I suppose, from the grand scheme of things, it kind of shows that the league system is working, because we have had All-Irelands in previous years where it's kind of, you're waiting for Dublin and one other, either Kerry or Mayo or Tyrone, to meet them in an All-Ireland final whereas hopefully now with I think it was changed that we'll have a league-based system, and you can see how close these teams are in the league. That it's just very exciting. But that's down the line. But if you had to call the two teams to get out of Division 3 and into Division 2 at this stage with 3 games left to play, would you call it? Could you call it?
I think we have a real chance. I don't know if I'd be competent enough to call it. Part of me doesn't still rule out Westmeath.
Yeah.
You know? You must remember that they were very, very unlucky to go down to Division 3 this year, because in the relegation playoff they went down to Park Cleeve, and put up a hell of a battle against Cork.
Yeah.
Whereas, as we've seen since, Cork have woes and struggles of their own, and could be swapping places with either Westmeath or Limerick come the end of the season, and they have a tricky trip to Meath this weekend, and they still have to go to Offaly. So it's very, very interesting. But I think, Jack, I didn't expect this question.
You're speechless.
I hadn't thought about it, but I'm not ruling out Westmeath. My heart says Limerick. And to be quite honest, Jack, I don't care who goes up with him.
Yeah. I think, we'll know a lot more after this weekend. That's for sure. I think Limerick will beat Westmeath, and I think that'll just put them in the driving seat. I think at the other side of the coin, I think the winner of Loudon Fermanagh, if there is to be a winner, will be in pole position, just with huge momentum after kind of seeing off on their opponents. If they draw, it's kind of, you're looking at Antrim then. But yeah, it's very hard to call. But very exciting game to look forward to Saturday night.
I'll have a deal with you, Jack.
Ask
me the same question next week.
Well, that's the thing. I'll give you a bell on Saturday afternoon afterwards, and we'll see what we're thinking of. That's the football. Huge game this Saturday. Make it out to the Gaelic grounds if you can. There was Saturday night with Longford. There was a good crowd there. Obviously, the Hurling had huge crowds against Galway and Cork. It does make that bit of a difference getting there early, because there's obviously Camogie beforehand at 4:30. We might touch on that game now. The Limerick Senior Camogie team are playing Clare at 4:30 in the Gaelic grounds. A huge game for them as well, for John Lillis and his side. Things haven't gone to plan this year so far. Loads of reasons. They're without players, new management. They're obviously drawing with Kilkenny and Cork, which never helps. Lost to both those sides. The Kilkenny game, I suppose there was positive to take from it. The Cork one, not so much. But against Clare, who would be probably level pegging with Limerick, there's a chance to avoid relegation and kind of kickstart your year with the championship just around the corner.
Yeah, but Jack, it's Limerick's first home game in 3. It's Clare's first away game in 3. You know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Limerick gave what was a promising performance against Kilkenny and Cavan in the opening round. And if you're John Lewis, a new manager coming in, and if you're the players and you see the randomness of the draw throws up a situation where you're paired with 2 of the top 3 in the country, or the top 4 if you include Tipperary, in the country, in the league, and not just in grouped with them, but have to travel to both of them in the opening rounds. Well, then that is a bit of a downer. Now, John Lillis was compelled to give, was it 4 or 5 new players their debuts against 5, I think. Again, recollection, I think you had Emma Kennedy, you had Sinead Barry, you had Elby Larkin, you had Sarah O'Brien, and you had Laura Fenley. They all got their debuts against Kilkenny, and it was a very, very creditable and heartening performance against Kilkenny. But then in the game against Cork, and when you need everybody on board and everybody with their shoulder to the wheel, he was confronted with a variety of reasons, unfortunate reasons, that 8 of those players were not available. So he had to hand a raft of debuts to a number of players, and of course, Cork were absolutely flying because they had to win it. They got a bit of a fright in the opening round from Clare and Innis. And they were letting nothing for chance, and they hit the ground running. And over the course of the game, I think John Dennis probably gave debuts maybe to 5 or 6 more players. So you can see where that is going. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's robbing the junior team who are out this weekend as well. So now Clare were, as I said, they pushed Cork to the very limit. But by all accounts, they were distinctly unlucky to lose to Kilkenny by a point in Ennis the last time out.
Yeah.
Which will tell you that Clare are going pretty well. Now, we played Clare twice last year. We played them in the opening round. I think you were with us there, Jack, in Father McNamara Park in Ennis, a game which we won. Yeah. We subsequently beat him in the Munster Championship quarter-final in Clarina. So, like, it would look on those bare statistics that we may have the measure of Clare. But I don't think it's as simple as that now. A lot will depend and a lot will depend on who's available. I understand that most of the players will be available. Now, among those that were missing were in Cork were Caoimhe Costello and Rebecca DeLee, who would be 2 absolute key players. So my information is that both of those will be available to take their position on their place, be available for selection on this Saturday evening. It goes ahead in the Gaelic grounds at 4:30. So it's a very, very hard one to call, Jack, but Limerick do have a backstop situation where they're to lose is that rather than be relegated for losing, they will go into the relegation playoff. And were I a betting man at this stage, I would be saying that will either be Offaly or Down. Now, Down have been weakened this year because their really go-to player, Saoirse McCartan, as you know, has transferred her allegiance to Cork. She's now living and working in Cork and has transferred her allegiance to the Bars and is playing senior with Cork and has got goals both against Clare and Limerick.
Yeah.
So, but look, Jack, we don't want to envisage that situation. Like, what would be best for Limerick on Saturday evening would be to get the job done. And I think they have a decent chance of doing it, but it will not be easy. Laura O'Neill is one that has been missing as well. And I understand underwent surgery this week, and we wish the very best of luck for a speedy recovery to Laura. And, full credit to Claire Keating, who came back into the fold and has done very, 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 very well. And, of course, had a very good year with Cappamore last year and winning the Intermediate Championship. But, and, of course, Debbie Murphy and Karen O'Leary will be missing, who are huge losses around the middle third. Niamh Ryan, I think my understanding is probably a couple of weeks away, maybe, but he's closing in on a return, having had surgery in her hand. So that is the situation. There are a lot of big names still missing. And some of the new players will obviously get another opportunity to impress, and they've been doing it. Michelle Curtin did very, very well in Cork. Not that we should be surprised at that, because she was very, very, very good with the juniors last year until her season was interrupted by, in my opinion, an immoral suspension.
Yeah, I'd say let's not relive.
But I don't want to be annoying myself and going back over these things. We've spoken about that, Jack. It's water under the bridge. She actually got a 3-match suspension. She ended up serving 4. But you could just imagine the player she would be had she been involved with the county team last year, the county junior team, and what a loss she was to the county junior team. But she got 3 points down in Cork from play, and fair play to Michelle. Absolutely fantastic to see her breaking and coming forward onto the senior team.
Yeah, seamless transition for her, and hopefully many more can follow in that regard. The junior team are in action as well on Saturday. They play Wexford and Glenclody at 2:00. Tim McGrath was named as a manager, and we wish Tim all the best with the year ahead. And there's a couple of familiar faces there. I suppose it's a bit of an unknown, Matt. We haven't really got a squad. Well, I haven't got a squad yet.
No, I haven't got a squad, and I understand the squad won't be released until Thursday evening, Jack, this Thursday evening. So, obviously, there will be a lot of people out of bounds because they have moved on to senior. If you reflect back on last year's team, we spoke about Michelle Curtin, but one of the anchors of the team last year that went to the league semi-final against Wexford and the junior championship semi-final against Armagh, of course, was Ailby Larkin and Michelle Curtin. And well, Michelle was missing for most of it, but Ailby Larkin, who probably will be paraded at the Gaelic grounds on Saturday evening, who's a very, very exciting young player. And it's going to be a very new look Limerick team, Jack. It will be interesting to see, and I concur with you in wishing Tim McGrath, who from my understanding is a very, very, very good camogie man. The very best to look, and his team, Shane Fitzgerald is in there. I think John Blackwell from your own club is in there. I think Sheila Minahan is in there, and there are 4 or 5 in there helping him. So we wish him all the best of luck, but it's a daunting task to go to Bunclody because this Wexford team, they're very, very, very strong. Like the Wexford senior team that compete in the All Ireland Championship, Jack, are competing in Division 2 of the Littlewoods League, and they beat Cork in the first round down in Castle Road. They're very, very strong, and I don't know about the system that a county that's playing senior camogie would, for all practical purposes, be playing intermediate league, senior camogie championship, and intermediate league. It doesn't stack up for me, Jack, because Cork have a senior camogie team, and they have an exclusive intermediate team. Cork, they had 2 exclusive panels, 2 exclusive sets of management. Matthew Toomey heads up the senior panel. Trevor Coleman heads up the intermediate panel. Excuse me, Jack. Kilkenny are the same. Tipperary are the same. Galway are the same. I honestly think that Wexford should be in Division 1 as competing in the senior championship, and therefore their second team should be in Division 2. And like I saw Wexford playing last year. I saw their so-called Division 3 team playing last year. Like they looked a cut above the rest, Jack.
Yeah, I remember seeing that Wexford team last year. But I suppose to be developing, you probably should be in Division 1. So you do make a valid point, but I suppose that's out of Limerick's control anyway for the weekend. The best.
You see, you're Waterford in a similar situation. I honestly think that the situation that structure needs revisiting, and I was speaking with somebody only this morning, Jack, who's decrying the fact that the Camogie Championship has developed into a 3-horse race, maybe with an outside chance that Tipperary might gate crash it.
Yeah, Tipperary have
you can look beyond them. Like, contrast that with the ladies' footballers and the boost and the fillip that the game of ladies' football got last year when Meath came all the way from Division 4 over a number of years to win the All-Ireland Senior Championship. A new name.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see that happening in Camogie?
Yeah, it doesn't look that way, but I suppose it only takes one team to come from nowhere like Meath did, and for hopefully from our point of view, it could be Limerick, who have made great strides, and then things transpire that go against them. Player departures and change of management and stuff. So hopefully, if we can just get a settled team in for a few years and build, that Limerick could be the outliers like Meath. Talking about ladies football, obviously.
But before that, my understanding also is that Niamh Ryan, or not Niamh Ryan, but Mairead Ryan, who was a stalwart with the Limerick Senior Camogie team, who had been playing our club Camogie with Clooney Quinn.
Yeah.
My information is that I'm hearing that she will be seen in the colours of Bruff in the coming year. So that would be a fit, because Mairead is originally from Knockany, as you know.
Yeah,
and she plays ladies football with Ballylanders. So that would be a boost to Bruff. And I understand that there's a possibility that Mary O'Callaghan might be seen back in their colours this coming year, this year.
To be a huge boost for Bruff. We're intermediate champions in 2020 and made a fair go there, made a fair go at the championship last year. So I suppose
if you get players of the calibre of Mairead Ryan and Mary O'Callaghan, if you get the two of them under one, it's Jack, it's a major boost.
Yeah, it's looking well for Bruff. It's also looking well for the Limerick ladies football team. They beat Carlow the weekend to make it 3 from 3. Their semi-final with Fermanagh is on the 20th in Kinnegad in Westmeath. But just on that game against Carlow, to be fair to Carlow, they stayed with Limerick for a good spell of that first half. But when that goal went in from Mairead Kavanagh, who's hit the net a couple of times, and Katrina Davis followed her in that regard, then just after half time, just crucial goals at crucial stages. It was a dead rubber, but it will have been very important for Graham Shine's side to get a third win in a row and just carry huge momentum into Fermanagh, who were obviously beaten by Leitrim in their group stage.
Yeah, I watched back the game, every bit of it, Jack. I'm impressed with the way Graham Shine is going about his business. Limerick started off on the front foot in that game. They got knocked over a couple of points. They were playing into whatever breeze there was, Jack. But suddenly Carlow got a grip in the game. And in fairness to Carlow, they knocked over a couple of points, and then they got a very good goal. Oh, it was well crafted, because it had to be a good goal to get past the Limerick defence, because the Limerick defence as a unit, Jack, have been playing very, very well during this campaign. Make no mistake about it. I thought Roisin Ambrose at midfield was absolutely outstanding. An inspirational call to hand her the captain's band, I would say, and is forming a very, very, very good partnership now at the moment with Loretta Handley. But the big three that have returned to the forward line, Jack, I was hugely impressed with them. I thought, and I'm not being parochial now, excuse me, Jack, but I thought that Cathy Mee was excellent. Likewise, Katrina Davis and Mairead Kavanagh. And Graham Shine could afford the luxury of calling Mairead Kavanagh ashore, from all of the second half, I think.
Yeah.
Now, she had found the net just before that. Now, Amy Ryan is another one that is worthy of mention. As we all know, that Amy was best known for her goal-scoring exploits for the last couple of years. She is now converted into a very, very efficient and competent defender. And we saw her, she was named in attack for both games against London and against Offaly, but did not line up there. She lined up in the half-back line. And she was named from the start by Graham Shine to start in the half-back line. I thought she was really, really. Now she had decent performances against London and Offaly, but I thought she really put her hand up to making that position her own.
Yeah,
now,
a bit like Keane Sheehan with the men, just kind of converted forward, powerful athlete, just able to getting up and down the field, and it's working well for Amy and it's working well for Limerick.
Yeah, it's working very, very well for Amy and working well for Limerick. Now Graham Shine, he stripped his bench literally. I think it was very, very hard to follow the substitutions. They were coming so thick and fast, but I think he of course on the start he gave Carol Bateman a debut in goal. Now, Sophie Hennessy wasn't used during the game. Now, neither was Grania McKenna. I'm not sure if Maeve O'Halloran came on or not. I think she possibly did. There was such a raft of substitutes coming on. Sarah Dillon got another run out. N.O.D., Roisin Highland, Eilish Lee. There was 6 or 7 of them there towards the finish. Good to see Emma Kirby back. Getting a run towards the end. So, yeah, look, it's positive, and I'd be quietly confident, and I know we'll be talking about it next week, and then probably have more delving done into it, Jack. I'd be quietly confident enough going to Kinnegad to play for Mana. Now, there is no doubt, Jack. Let's be honest about it. That Fermanagh is going to be a step up. On what, well, maybe apart from Offaly, but I would think that if you look at Division 4 in its totality, and it's 8 teams, Fermanagh and Leitrim were probably the 2 standout teams. So, yeah, I think it'll be a step up, but it's a game Limerick can win.
Yeah, Limerick step up.
We'll be talking about it next week.
I think Limerick onto the stage where they can just focus on themselves and see how they're going. Because if they play good enough, they'll beat anyone. On ladies football, Toos Midwest beat TU Dublin in the Lagan Cup final during the week. Iris Connelly was player of the match. She's obviously a key member of this Limerick side. So all the Limerick contingent, well done to them.
Yeah, just mentioning Iris there. I thought she was very, very good and very, very effective against Carlow. And plus the fact that Katrina Davis was called ashore when she had her job done, and Iris took over the free-taking duties very successfully.
Yeah, a brilliant player for the Old Mill.
Oh, yeah, but Jack, Iris Kennelly hasn't anything to prove to anybody, because I think she's an absolutely fantastic player. And I thought, and it went unnoticed and it went under the radar, that she got a goal for the ages for Old Mill against Ballylanders last year in the county semi-final. I thought it was absolutely off the charts.
Yeah, a brilliant player. Moving on to hurling, and we'll finish with the Limerick hurling team. But Ardscoil Rís are back into an All-Ireland final. We had said that maybe the back door would suit them, or I suppose not having the pressure of being Munster champions. It certainly looks that way. Beat Presentation at Nry on Monday, and then beat Good Counsel of New Ross over the weekend. A 7-point victory, 2-17-16, I think it finished. But a real star-studded team, Matt. And I suppose looking back on that Munster final, St. Joseph's Tulla are gone now. They were beaten by St. Kieran's. Maybe the emotion of the final went the way of St. Joseph's when you look at it, because this Ardscoil Rís team is an exceptionally good schools team. Now, they are facing the kingpins of this level, St. Kieran's College of Kilkenny, in the final on St. Patrick's Day. But I suppose just for Ardscoil Rís, you're going to see an awful lot of these players down the line in the green jersey and for their own clubs at a senior level.
You are, Jack. It was a very, very good performance. I thought they started poorly, and they were 4 points down very, very, very early on, but they clawed themselves back. There was no sense of panic or any of that sort of thing. And once Shane O'Brien got the goal, you got a sense that this is it, that Ardscoil were really, really in the groove. They didn't in the second half, Jack. Ardscoil did not concede a score from play. Good Counsel were totally dependent on the free taking of Jack Redmond in the second half, apart from one free at the end, which was hit by their captain, Conor Foley. I think they ended up with 16 points. I think Jack Redmond got 11 of them. I think there was possibly 10 of them from frees. So that will give you a sense. It was a very, very dominant performance, I thought, by Ardscoil. And once they hit the front and by half time, you got a sense that it was going to be a long afternoon in Bancha for good counsel. And going into these games, it's very, very, very hard to call them because like you see the situation now, and whereby Tulla won the Dr. Harty Cup, and they've been beaten by St. Kieran's, who failed to reach the Leinster final, and you've Ardscoil, who lost the Harty Cup, and they beat Good Counsel, who won the Leinster final. So.
Yeah, I'd say there was obviously when a team goes out to start the year, obviously you're looking to win your province, and I suppose when you win your province, it's hard to go again. Whereas for Ardscoil, who were beaten, they're kind of thinking, no, we need to win some silverware. St. Kieran's, who were beaten in the semi-final, will be thinking the same. So maybe that's what panned out there. We've often seen St. Kieran's win Leinster and win that Ireland.
It's going to be the fourth Croke Cup final for Ardscoil. And St. Kieran's have been their opponents in the previous three and in this one as well. And the record isn't good. But as I said about Limerick and Westmeath, Jack, those records are there to be broken. And I saw both games. I saw both the Kieran's and Tulla game. Kieran's and Tulla and Ardscoil and Good Counsel. I'd be pretty confident, Jack.
Yeah, that record has to be broken at some stage.
Yeah, I honestly think that Ardscoil are well poised to meet the challenge head on. Like you saw on last Saturday, the big names. Niall Farrell went off at halftime with an injury. He had 5 points got at that stage. He was a Clare minor last year, but we saw Shane O'Brien taking over the free taking duties. But apart from that, Shane O'Brien was hugely influential and in absolutely fantastic form. I thought Keane Scully really showed why he was a county or Limerick minor, as did Vince Harrington. If you have the players that you look up to and they perform to the level that those lads did last weekend, you're in a good place. And I would be confident that the open expanses of Croke Park will probably suit him. But more about that next week.
Yeah, on St. Patrick's Day at 4:00. So hopefully the parade will be over. It's on TG Carr. If you can't go to Dublin, but a huge chance for those players to play in Croke Park. Before we get to the Limerick Hurlers, obviously UL won again, which is great for me as a past, I suppose, the alumni, whatever it's called. They beat DCU last night in the Freshers final with just an outrageous team. Realistically, you had 3 inter-county Limerick players. You had Pat Crotty, who was with the Clare Seniors. They all played on Sunday, played again last night. Ethan Hurley at centre-back as a Rolls-Royce player, even on the bench, the likes of Ronan Lyons, Brian O'Mara, Chris Thomas, who are regulars with these Limerick underage teams, aren't getting a look in. Liam Lynch was injured. I'm sure he would have been starting. Just riches beyond riches for UL. And all these lads are going into the Fitzgibbon Cup team next year for UL, the defending champions. So really looks well for UL, but looks really well for Limerick with the amount of players there.
It does, and these are fantastic competitions, Jack. And we shouldn't for one minute underestimate the importance of these competitions in the development of players. And we have, if we're prepared to listen to John Kiley, we've had him saying time out of mind about the importance of the Fitzgibbon Cup, and we have seen the rounds that he has gone to. It's just not speak with him because his actions bear it out. We've seen the rounds he has gone to over the years to accommodate players playing with their colleges. Now, of course, he's an ex-college player himself with UCC, but he stresses the importance of it, and he sees the importance of it to the players in his squad, because you could remember about 2 or 3 years ago, the amount of Limerick players that were involved in the Fitzgibbon Cup, Jack, was phenomenal. And we're heading down that road again now. Now there was I think there was about 5 or 6 Limerick players that were on the UCC panel. Actually, more in the UCC panel than there was in the Limerick panel, I think, for the Fitzgibbon Cup, because you had the 2 Boylans, and you had William Henn, and you had Kieran Barry, Patrick Hartnett, Jack Ryan. They were all on the UCC panel now. Kieran Barry and the Boylans and William Henn got game time, and but College went out in the quarter final. But the more players that get exposure, because it's a very, very, very useful stepping stone from playing inter-county minor to moving on to county senior. It's a nice stage. You're exposed to some great games, some great players, and they're great competitions, and it augurs terrible well for UL. Champions this year. Now I don't know how many of that team will be available the coming year, but by God, they'll be all looking over their shoulders with the young crew that are coming on.
Yeah, they will. I imagine the likes of Colin Coughlin, Colin O'Neill, Adam English, Aidan O'Connor will walk into that team next year, but remains to be seen. Anyway, that game was streamed live if you want to watch it back. I think Aidan O'Connor got 7, 4 of them from play. Adam English got 1, 2. Colin O'Neill got 4. Colin Coughlin got 2 points. Just what a team, essentially. But onto the senior team, Matt. 4 games, no wins. Is it time to worry yet?
No, I suppose the answer is no.
You're more delayed in the reaction there though than you have been in previous weeks to that question.
Well, I have. Well, if you look coldly at the record, 4 games, 1 draw. But thankfully, the draw was the last time out, which means that we're coming close to hopefully turning the corner. As I said last week, Jack, I have faith in what John Kiley said and what he has been saying for the last number of years, that the day that matters is the day of the first round of the championship. And if we're building up towards that, and whilst I was disappointed against Cork because I thought there was a certain level of regression from the Galway game against Cork and the game with Cork. I honestly think that a certain amount of things have got back on track. And John Kiley, he's after the game he summarised. He summarised what he was seeing was going wrong, and the simple things, ball going to hand, drop balls, that sort of thing. But he spoke very confidently that come the championship, it will be rectified. Now, it was a decent game against Clare, good competitive game. I wonder how both sides became so score shy on the home run. Clare could only muster, was it 1 point in the last 17 minutes? Clare, I think Limerick did one better. Yeah. So there was 6 minutes of additional time. You'd have to say there was a couple of bad misses on both sides, Jack. There was a couple
it was very characteristic.
So look, it's not. It would be a worse scenario if we were talking about 4 defeats out of 4 with an opportunity, and this is no disrespect to Offaly, in a week's time to get back on the horse and get what it would be a precious first win in the league, and with it that bit of momentum going into the first round of the championship in Cork. Is
there anything you saw from Ennis that you're thinking, okay, that's definitely better than Cork, better than Galway, better than Wexford?
Yeah, I thought particularly contrasting with the Cork game, I thought defensively we were beginning to settle down, though we lost Declan Hannon on 30 minutes, and that obviously is a worry. But John Kiley said it was just maybe as precautionary. But they seem to be settling in, and like you've Kyle Hayes to come back into the team, and you've Sean Finn to come back into the team. So yeah, it's we look. It was overall, Jack, as a team performance. I thought it was better, but not near the standard that they're quite capable of reaching.
Yeah, not near the standard they're capable of, and that they're going to have to be for the Munster Championship when Cork come to town. But I suppose another thing,
there's a couple of things you wonder just about that. Are Cork peaking too soon?
Hopefully.
Have they shown too much of their hand to John Kiley and Paul Kinnerk?
Yeah, I don't think Kiley and Kinnerk need to see very much to kind of decipher what you're doing. What I will say for Cork is that people probably accuse Limerick of peaking early in 2020, and they kept it up the whole year. Last year was a different case, but into 2018 they won the league and won the All-Ireland, that they peaked quite early that year as well. So this Limerick team has been able to keep it going all year. The worry is that if Cork can keep this level or even get better, that they will definitely be. I think they're the number one contenders, just ahead of Waterford. I don't know what your thinking is.
That Cork are the number one contenders.
I think.
I would agree with you totally.
I'm hearing that it's Waterford, but I just think Cork I think they're better. Just simple as I think they're better than Waterford. They mightn't be as dogged or determined as Waterford, but I think they have better stickmen. They're always good stickmen, but that remains to be seen.
It'll be very interesting to see how the league will pan out now, Jack.
With the semi-final and final.
Semi-final and finals. Like we've Cork and Wexford gone through from our group, and it'll be interesting to see who'll come at the other side. But you'd be pretty confident that Kilkenny will come from the other side, and possibly Waterford and Dublin are in with a shout.
Yeah, they're in with a shout.
I think Waterford have to play Kilkenny in the final game.
Yeah,
and Dublin have to play Laois.
So you would expect them to win there for the Dubs.
Waterford have a huge scoring difference if it came down to the head-to-head with Dublin, because they drew in the first game, but Waterford ran up a massive score against Laois. So it would be a brave man to call it. Even I was looking at the table, even there's a possibility, an outside possibility, a dramatic possibility that Kilkenny could possibly miss out if they were beaten by Waterford, because that would mean that they would be marooned on 6 points.
Yeah, and Dublin can get in ahead of them.
Dublin and Waterford, if were Waterford to beat them, and Dublin with the potential to go to 7, and Waterford with the potential to go to 9.
Yeah, it's not as clear cut as Limerick's group. Limerick's group is done and dusted, as you said.
Dusted, yeah.
Cork and Wexford will meet in a fairly dead rubber game. I suppose the winner will top the group, but they're not going to mind who they play in a league semi-final. The only thing is, Cork are guaranteed another game, whereas Limerick
they're guaranteed another game, and they're guaranteed a very, a really, really competitive game, because if any of those three will and it'll probably be a neutral venue. Both semi-finals, I presume, will be nailed on for Hurlers, maybe, although they were held in Nolan Park a couple of years ago. But if Kilkenny are out of the mix, Nolan Park would probably come in, or Tipperary are unlikely to make it, Jack.
Yeah, like if you look at those 4 teams there, Cork last success was the All-Ireland in 2005. Wexford obviously won Leinster in 19, but outside of that, haven't won much in the last 20 years. Dublin won Leinster.
They won an All-Ireland in 2000 and what? In 1996.
96. Dublin won Leinster in 13, but they're All-Ireland, or they won the league, I think, at one stage under Anthony Daly as well. And obviously Waterford, their search for All-Ireland goes on. So 4 teams that will be desperate for a league title, which probably bodes well for Limerick, that whoever Cork play, that they will be gunning for them and might take a bit out of their legs. But that remains to be seen.
Waterford won the league as recently as 2015, you know, and I think it was only their second or third league title. They haven't won an All-Ireland since 1959 when they beat Kilkenny in a replay.
Yeah, so all those teams.
Cork haven't won the league since 1998.
It's just
Kilkenny are tired of winning the league, and Wexford haven't won it since 1972.
Yeah, so they'll all be desperate to get a bit of silverware, and
absolutely
they'll be going for it. On Limerick, Matt, another week, another red card. I say what you want about the incident. For me, it's a red card, or it's definitely a second yellow. It's stupid, but I suppose we were all thinking after Hegarty was sent off against Galway that the indiscipline was out of the system, that, you know, a lot of teams go to the edge, and then once they go over the edge, they just they toe the line. But for Limerick, that's 3 reds in a row. It has to be worrying. And that wasn't the targeted incident. Like, it wasn't as if they saw a green jersey and it was red card. It was just a silly foul, and Angolan deserved to go. But for John Kiley, like, how do you address that?
Yeah, it's something that can be easily corrected. But because of their current status and in the game at the moment, I'm convinced, and perhaps you'll accuse me of having green mist through my entire system, not just my eyes at the minute, is that I think Limerick players are more sinned against than sinning.
Yeah, but you have to be clever about these things.
We go back to the Hegarty incident again. Garrod Hegarty, like the row was over, or the skirmish was over when a Galway man reignited it and literally got away with it, and you know, he goaded Garrod Hegarty.
Yeah. But you have to know when the ref is looking and when the ref isn't looking. I know it's not exactly fair, but Aaron will know the ref was looking in his direction when that ball went in. Hopefully.
But you know, Aaron has been subjected by opponents to a lot of unwanted attention over the last number of years. And a lot of it is not. I can't find the way they're doing it in the rule book.
Yeah, like if you do something in front of the ref, you're far more likely to get caught than you do in front of an umpire or linesman. Because it just, if it's the ref sees it, he will call it. But it's just something that Limerick will have to look at. If they get a man sent off against Cork in Munster, they're going to pay for it, because Cork will run you around the place. The same way any team.
Absolutely, you need absolutely everybody on board the day you go down to the white spaces of Falkirk, because Cork are going to run it anyway.
Yeah.
But if they've only 14 to run it against, they will really go to town.
Yeah, and the weekly question then about our number 15, we had Adam English get his full debut and Carl O'Neill start in the corner. Graham Mulcahy came on for Cork. Which way do you see that position going?
I still stick with Graham Mulcahy.
I presume you would expect him to be starting against Offaly.
Yeah, I think he'll probably start against Offaly. Adam English didn't do anything wrong. He got a spectacular point.
Yeah, brilliant.
You know, absolutely fantastic score. You know, full credit to him to take it on. And no, I still think that John Kiley will go for the tried and trusted Graham Mulcahy.
Yeah, to be honest now, I think it's Colin O'Neill's position to lose now. I think he's probably outperformed Tom Morrissey as well at wing forward, but you know, Tom will bring you on Championship Day. You wouldn't be worried about him, but I think Colin O'Neill will probably be corner, but come out kind of like what Peter Casey share the time, leave Gallan and Flanagan inside. Look, Kiley knows better than you or I, but there's good options there. And when the team is flowing, whoever you put in that number 15 jersey, whether it be Graham Mull or Colin O'Neill or Adam English or whoever, they will flourish with the ball that comes in. But it is intriguing to see. Do you think that Kiley will go his Championship 15 for Offaly, knowing that there is a window afterwards?
I think he'll probably go as near as possible to it, because there's going to be no serious competitive game between that and Cork other than in-house games.
And
I think he'll go as close as possible to it.
I suppose we'll talk about the Offaly game more next week coming into it. One thing that I suppose is one positive is that Mike Casey made the bench, which
that absolutely was a huge positive. You asked me earlier on what were the positives coming out of Ennis. That was certainly one huge positive. Great, absolutely fantastic to see Mikey back.
Yeah, just dogged with injuries.
We know what he brings to the table, and we, as a player, we know the type of competition he's going to bring to the full back line.
Yeah, that's like, see, you have Barry Nash, Dan Morrissey, Sean Finn, Rich English, and Mike Casey. 5 doesn't go into 3, and that's why I'm thinking we could see someone push up the field, either Nash or Kyle or someone. I think we will see it at some stage, just with the riches in the full back line. Just all stars. Like, I know Mike doesn't actually have an all-star, but twice nominated. I think in 18 he should have got it. But there's a lot of options there at one end of the field. At the other end, we're not quite so sure. But it definitely a huge positive to see Mike back, because look, you don't want to see anyone missing through injury, and a recurring injury then is all the more disheartening. So a huge bonus for him and a bonus for the Piercing for when they get back into action to have Mike Casey at the heart of the fence.
Huge bonus for Limerick.
Yeah, it's huge bonus for everyone and for him himself, who's obviously been working very hard to get back to this level. An hour and 6 on the clock, Matt. I'd say we might leave it there. We obviously have huge...
Jack, I can't help but notice, and our viewers will notice, that you have a guitar in the background. Have you plans to regale us with a song before we leave, or a tune?
I'd say I brought it out during COVID, and I learned in TY, but I have no rhythm. I have no rhythm in my body whatsoever. My left hand is grand to, I don't know, put the chords into action, but the right hand for strumming is no good. I just have no rhythm. And anyone that has seen me play or attempt to play or heard me singing knows that I can't do either. So I'll leave you off in that regard. If Limerick win under All Ireland, I'll learn some sort of song, maybe something from the Cranberries or something. But that's a while away, Matt. And you'll have to regale us with a tale as well. But
your only rendition is that one of the one the cow died of.
Yeah. Well, I know the Dear Old Ballysteen as well. For anyone that hasn't heard it, lovely song. Richie O'Shea on YouTube, Dear Old Ballysteen. Any of my friends will have heard it far too many times than they care to admit. But yeah, we have actual games to look forward to. We have 2 Camogie games on Saturday, and obviously that big one in the football on Saturday evening, and then we have the Milford 10K on Sunday afternoon. So don't forget to register for that. Get your tickets in advance for all those games, and everyone listen, a huge thank you, and to you as usual, Matt, a huge thanks, and we'll be in touch soon.
You're welcome, Jack.
The impression again we get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods, and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Johnny Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the work out today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy.